my fellow countrymen and women from the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. I would start my conversation with you on a quote from the Holy Scriptures where in Matthew chapter 12 verse 25, Jesus Christ told his disciples that a kingdom that is divided against itself is brought to desolation. A city or a house that is divided against itself cannot stand. Whether you are a Christian or a believer of Jesus Christ, it doesn't matter. But if you are from the northwest or southwest region of Cameroon, you must have come to the conclusion that there is a truth in these words that cuts across every philosophical or theological interpretations. It is very evident and clear that there is widespread desolation in our land, in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. And then we might ask ourselves the question, why is there all of this desolation in our land? This scripture cuts directly into the answer to that question. Are we united? Each and every one of us may have his own opinion on the crisis that is currently plaguing our land. But there is something that is inevitably true. It is the fact that we are not united. And because we are not united, desolation is widespread in our land. Today, I speak to you because I want to appeal to you in a very special way that we reconsider our ways and see how we can all come together. Come together to fight back the desolation that is plaguing our land. It's very painful when we realize that we are a land of plentiful. We are a land that is abundantly blessed. But the enemy, more than anything else, has understood that in order for him to make maximum profit out of our riches, he needs to divide us. My brothers and sisters from the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon, the time is now when we must unite to let the dictatorial regime of Mr. Paul Biya know that we have irrevocably taken the path to our self-determination as a people. This is something that must be clear to our mind. It doesn't matter how long this fight would last, but we should understand that history has imposed upon us the obligation to fight. Now, we might have different opinions about the means and the path that we can use in this fight. Some people believe that there is no other way out of this but to bear arms. Some other people like me still believe that through non-violent civil action, we can bring pressure to bear on our enemy and have him recapitulate and allow us to be the determinant of our own future. That is why I'm going to appeal to all the sons and daughters of the northwest and southwest region to all come together, all Anglophones, to all come together. Let's put our thinking caps together so we can chart a way out of the present desolation that is plaguing our land, the desolation that the enemy has imposed on us by his divisive tactics against our people. The Munas were divided against the Fonchas, the Biles against the Endeli. But the time has come for this generation to understand that a kingdom that is divided against itself is brought to desolation. How can we move forward and bring back life into our land? There is just one way: for us to unite. Let all of us, whether from the opposition or from the government, whether Christians or non-Christians, whether from the southwest or from the northwest, let's all unite, because it's only in that unity that we can brave the savagery of our enemy. Let's not make this mistake of thinking that our enemies are the Francophones. The halfway through victory is in our ability to identify who our enemies are. If you cannot identify your enemy, then you might end up fighting the wrong fight. When I say that our enemies are not the Francophones, I mean it in all seriousness. Because if our enemies were the Francophones, we would not have a Francophone like Patrice Genin fighting with us and for us. In the past recent weeks, there is no voice that has been so vocal for our cause more than the voice of a Francophone like Patrice Genin. I salute him for his integrity in standing for what is just. Like Patrice Genin, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of other Francophones out there who are standing with us, speaking on our behalf. We cannot turn our backs on those. It is time for us to understand that the enemy is bent on seeing that we all be exterminated so that he can have full control of our land. If that was not the plan of the enemy, then I don't understand why Mr. Paul Biya would appoint a member of his political party, and of that, a member of the political bureau of his political party, the CPDM, that's Mafani Musonge. Appoint him to go and have a conversation with our people. And based on the recommendations of the discussion that Mr. Biya's own representative had with our people, Mr. Biya was supposed to call us on the dialogue table so that we can talk and have a candid and Republican conversation about the destiny of our people. But instead of choosing that route, Mr. Biya has undermined us again by putting together what he calls a humanitarian relief fund. We don't need no humanitarian relief, not from Mr. Paul Biya and his cronies, who have never considered us as human beings. How can you send humanitarian relief to people or to a species that you don't even consider as human beings? Can you send to humans or to dogs what is supposed to be reserved for humans? Because they have called us dogs. Can you send to rats what is meant for humans? Because they have called us rats. Our enemies, the enemy of our people, have called us every name except a name that will reflect on us as human beings. So we cannot trust this their so-called relief fund. If Mr. Paul BIYA wants us to believe that he is serious, let him first of all restitute to us our rights. Our rights to self-determination as a people. That is the beginning of the recognition of our humanity. It's only then that we can talk about humanitarian relief funds. If you consider us to be animals, then how do you expect us animals that you've pushed into the bush, that you've pushed away from human habitat, burned the homes that our parents built? How would you consider us as animals? When you have sent your own soldiers to desecrate our women, to desecrate our sisters, our mothers, and our wives. Some of you, like me, may have watched the video of our two sisters that were forced to swim and wallow in mud. My brothers and my sisters from the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, you all know that we cannot even treat our pigs the way we saw our two sisters being treated. I mean our pigs. We will not treat them the way we saw our two sisters being treated by the soldiers of Mr. Paul BIYA. Mr. BIYA has done everything humanly possible to desecrate our dignity. That's why I call on every Anglophone from the northwest or southwest to reject the idea of a humanitarian relief fund, because we are considered to be animals, to be dogs, to be rats. And by that, there is no way that you will feed a dog with food that is meant for humans. There's no way you will feed a rat with food that is meant for humans. The humanitarian relief funds has every other objective behind it except that of relieving human beings. Any Anglophone Cameroonian from the northwest or southwest who is contributing or who would contribute into this fund is participating in the continuous desecration of our dignity. Is part of the problem. My brothers and my sisters, I come back to you again with the scriptures from Matthew 12:25, where Jesus Christ told his disciples, a kingdom that is divided against itself is brought to desolation. Let's all unite, because it is in our unity that we would push this our cause to an expected end. That's why I will call on all, I mean all, Anglophone Cameroonians from the northwest and southwest to withdraw their participation in Mr. Biya's regime. The first step to wisdom for every Cameroonian, be it young Philemon, Atanganji, Ngole Ngole Elvis, Mafani Musonge, you name them, anyone that is from the northwest or southwest region should boycott participation in Mr. Biya's regime. Leave him and join your people and be united to your people, because our unity is the only weapon that we have to conquer our oppressor. I have a little story to share with you on the importance of unity. I know that my people are so intelligent, smart, and they follow international news. Recently, Mr. Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, a great nation, one of the greatest nations on the face of the earth, came out with a decision where he decided that he would separate immigrant parents from their children. That caused an uproar in his country. Mr. Donald Trump is a Republican. You know what happened? For those who know Donald Trump, by the way, he's a very resilient fighter. He's somebody who is very opinionated. He believes that the world centers around him. But this is what happened with this story that I'm bringing to you. The Americans, when they took heed of Mr. Trump's decision to separate parents from children, they all came together, Republicans and Democrats, in their Congress, formed a common bloc, and within 24 hours, for the first time, Mr. Trump reversed his decision. The intrepid Mr. Trump reversed his decision when the people of America in their Congress came together, Republicans and Democrats. So what lesson can we learn from this? Those of us from the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon. If we come together, it doesn't matter what our political party is, CPDM or SDF or AFP, call it whatever your political party is. If we come together, all the Anglophones come together in rejection of the oppression of the dictatorial regime of Mr. Paul Biya, Mr. Biya would have no other solution but to succumb to the desire of our people. That is why I call again on all those Anglophone Cameroonians from the CPDM or SDF or AFP, whatever their political party is, Muslim, Christians, believers and non-believers. I call on all of you to come together and let's stand against the dictatorial regime of Mr. Paul Biya. There is no weapon that will be greater than the weapon of unity. Because the Bible says again, a house that is divided against itself cannot stand. Yes, if we have to stand, then we must be united. United in the rejection of our oppressor. United in building for ourselves and our children a future that no one else will ever seize away from us. In the days ahead, we meaningful and peace-loving people from the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon should be talking to each other, building bridges. Because this fight will not end if we don't unite. It's clear Mr. BIYA doesn't consider us to be human beings. And that's why he's not willing to sit on the table with us. But he has the audacity to create a humanitarian relief fund for people that he cannot sit on the table with. If Mr. BIYA had ever considered us to be human beings, he would not send out the soldiers to burn down our parents' home, to desecrate the dignity of our sisters, our wives, and our mothers, to kill the bravest and the youngest amongst us. No, if Mr. BIYA ever considered us to be humans, he would not do that to us. If Mr. BIYA considered us to be humans, he would not overlook the recommendations of his own appointee, Peter Mafani Musonge. Instead of creating a humanitarian relief fund, Mr. BIYA should have been working on how to respond in a wise manner to the recommendations brought forth by Peter Mafani Musonge. My fellow Cameroonians, brothers and sisters from the northwest region of Cameroon, I give to you my peace. Let's come together.